Your Wi-Fi router blasts radio waves out 2.4 billion times every second, and somehow that turns into your Netflix stream. There's no cable stretched across the room, no beam of light you can see, nothing but empty air between your phone and the router. Yet a whole video file crosses your living room in less than a second. What's actually happening in that invisible air is stranger and far simpler than most people assume. Let's cut it open. Strip away the acronym and ask what Wi-Fi actually is. It isn't a special internet-only signal, and it isn't magic. It's a radio, the exact same physics as the AM station your grandparents tuned into, just pitched far higher into a band called 2.4 or 5 gigahertz. Every phone, laptop, and router hides a tiny radio transmitter and a tiny radio receiver, and all day long they shout numbers at each other in the language of radio waves. So how does a plain, dumb wave end up carrying a web page? Here's the picture most people carry around. Wi-Fi as some invisible cloud of the internet floating through the house, as if the actual words and pictures are drifting through the walls. That's wrong. There's no web page riding on the wave, no picture, no words. There's only one thing traveling through the air, a radio wave that keeps changing shape over and over, millions of times a second. Everything else, the video, the message, the photo, gets built afterward on your end out of that pattern of changes. The real trick is called modulation, and it's closer to Morse code than magic. A chip takes your data, a stream of ones and zeros, and uses it to nudge the radio wave, shifting its phase, its amplitude, or its frequency by a tiny, precise amount, over and over. Each nudge stands for a chunk of bits. Do that shift a few 100 million times a second, and you can smuggle an entire movie into the wobble of a single wave. That wave doesn't carry your video file in one giant piece, either. Before anything is transmitted, the data gets sliced into hundreds of small packets, each stamped with an address, like a stack of postcards, each carrying a fragment of a puzzle and the name of the exact device it's headed to. The router flings these packets out one burst at a time, and your phone's radio catches the ones addressed to it, then quietly reassembles them, in order, back into a video, a page, a photo. Here's the part that explains why Wi-Fi slows down at a party. Every device in range is sharing the exact same sliver of radio spectrum, like a room where everyone has to take turns speaking. Before transmitting, a device actually listens first, waits for silence, then sends its burst. If two devices talk at once, both bursts collide and get thrown out, and both devices have to try again. Add more phones and laptops to that one room, and everyone waits longer for their turn. There's a trade-off hiding inside that 2.4 versus 5 gigahertz choice. Lower frequency waves, 2.4 gigahertz, are lazier and longer, so they slide around and through walls more easily, but they can't wiggle fast enough to carry as much data. Higher frequency waves, 5 or 6 gigahertz, wiggle fast enough to carry far more data per second, but they're stubbier and get stopped cold by a wall or even a body standing in the way. That's the real reason your Wi-Fi turns to molasses in the bedroom farthest from the router. It isn't a weak signal. It's a wave that's lost its punch. So the next time your phone shows 5 bars, picture what's actually happening. A small radio, wiggling a wave millions of times a second, chopping your data into address packets, and politely waiting its turn to shout them across the room. It isn't the internet floating through your walls. It's just physics moving impossibly fast. If you'll never look at that little blinking router the same way again, that's the whole point of this channel. Stick around, we'll keep cutting things open.